I greet you in these Epiphany days with the grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the one who shines brightly in Epiphany light. We all have days and weeks and times when things get a bit much, right? When things kind of pile on, and we are with empty hands and sometimes empty hearts. All of us can get that way from time to time. It's been an especially intense time for me recently, and so I always am ready to hear of the presence of loved ones in the church and their prayers, and also the presence of Jesus. That's why it's really good this coming Sunday that the gospel is the Beatitudes, the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, beginning with, "Blessed are you." I've been to the Mount of Beatitudes. There's a starkly simple chapel there on this mount which slopes gently down toward the Sea of Galilee. In a little garden outside the chapel, we gathered, Catholics, Protestants, and Jews, for a service of evening prayer. Jesus saw the crowds and went up to this mountain. When he sat down, his disciples came to him, and Jesus opened his mouth and blessed them. They were misfits on that hill, those who came to hear Jesus. They were the poorest of the poor, oppressed by the power of Roman occupation. They eked out a subsistence living in the rock-hard fields of Galilee, the poorest province of a poverty-stricken nation. They were lepers and orphans and widows. They were criminals and revolutionaries. They were sinners, oppressed and oppressors. And the disciples were hardly better off, fisher folk and tax collectors and farmers. Something about Jesus gave them hope, spoke to their hearts. They were misfits gathered around Jesus. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Jesus was blessing his own beloved people on the mountain, the children of the covenant. Jesus was blessing those Gentiles who would believe through his word. Jesus is blessing us, all of us in this world. All God's children, blessed are you. And so I'm remembering that evening prayer on the Mount of Beatitudes, for we were misfits, broken people on the hill. Several were going through the pain of divorce. One woman told me it was the first death of the anniversary of her only son. Another was chemically dependent on the pain medication she was taking for her battle with cancer. A man was in danger of losing his business. Some were very poor and had poured what little they had of their life savings to go on this pilgrimage. I was among the poor on that mountain, wrestling with very difficult things. We were all on the hill, misfits, facing Jesus. We read the Beatitudes. God was in the midst of us on the hill, in the midst of our sin, our pain, our loss, our illness and confusion. God is in the midst of us today. He always speaks from our midst of our living, the good and the difficult. Blessed are you. And I think of those folks on the hill, misfits going through a lot, both centuries ago and also decades ago. All truly blessed because we came before the Lord empty-handed, expecting God to do something for us. And all of us today, empty-handed before God, are filled with the presence of Jesus. Years ago on that hill in that evening prayer, I tried to speak the Beatitudes in a way those gathered on the hill could hear them. Rabbi Friedman, jailed in the South with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When you are persecuted for righteousness' sake, blessed are you. When you mourn over the death of a son or mother, blessed are you. When you are so poor in spirit that you don't know what to do next, blessed are you. When airplanes crash, when you lose your job, when the doctor gives you bad news, when your faith is low and your confidence non-existent, blessed are you. Let us see ourselves numbered among those gathered on the Mount of Beatitudes. God is with us. Jesus steps into the middle of us on that hill and simply says, blessed are you. You are my people.